Hi, Dawn Burks here from ETEC 561. This is my little 5-minute video, so hopefully it'll be okay. One of the interesting things to know about me is I come from a strong science background in healthcare, and one of the things I found very interesting is just how scientific learning how to teach is. So I really like that aspect of this class. A long time ago, it was probably 15 years now, I started in respiratory therapy, and recently in the last 7 years, I was asked to teach clinicals. One of the first things I found out in formal teaching is that just knowing a lot about the subject matter does not necessarily make you a very good educator. The other problem I had was, rather than just putting down objectives for a class, how do you go about developing a curriculum? How do you set up a program so that students can learn in ways that are best for them? So these kinds of ideas kind of spurred me into further getting education in education. So I could have got a master's degree in healthcare or respiratory therapy or management, but it was the passion that I found out that I had in teaching so many students from different backgrounds, different cultures, how to become respiratory care practitioners. So that was what was really most important to me. So what was the most challenging thing that I learned in this class? The most challenging for me was sections 2 and 3, right towards the beginning. They concentrated on several different approaches to instructional design, different protocols, different ways of evaluating each step of the design process, and I had to read these several times to really get a good grip on that. To be honest with you, I probably learned more reading the blogs of my fellow classmates that are in the industry, maybe doing a little bit with instructional design, and that really helped to solidify those sections of the book for me. The next question was, what was the most interesting thing I learned? Of course, for me, chapter 20 was the most interesting. It talked about how IDT comes into play in the industry of healthcare. And it was in this chapter that doors really started to open for me. Little light bulbs popped on. Understanding the culture and the languages and traditions that exist in the healthcare field would certainly help me to develop training and education programs for professionals in this field. So another interesting fact in this chapter came from learning how healthcare education started as that narrow, focused memorization. I remember in school being a lot of memorization, but what we have evolved to is exactly what they said in that chapter, is that now we use more problem-based learning, more evidence-based practice comes into play for that. So from my clinical experience, I completely agree with the findings in that chapter. I'm finding that my students integrate what they've learned and the facts that they have memorized. They integrate it more and they remember it more when they can use it to problem solve. An equally interesting portion in chapter 12 was when they talked about the differences between leadership and management. I really enjoyed that because I think my personality fits more in a leadership role than in a management role. And the most useful thing I learned was the organization and development that I need to go through to be able to produce a valuable class. Thank you so much for your time, and I really enjoyed your studies.